Want to remove anything from the consent calendar? Seeing none. Public comment. Are there any members of the public wishing to speak?
I do not see any. Hold on just a minute. Is there anybody who's in the Zoom waiting room wishing to speak? Would you raise your hand, please? It appears we have no one wishing to speak in public comment.
All right. Well, great. We'll move on to consent calendar. The following routine matters may be acted upon by one motion. Individual items may be removed by the commission for separate discussions. A, approval of minutes. Has everybody reviewed the minutes, and are there any discussion on the minutes? Do we need a motion on approval of the minutes?
Yes, please.
Could I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
We have a motion. We have a second.
One second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And Mr. Chair, I missed who made the motion on this one.
Thompson.
Thompson, thank you. Thank you.
All right, we have an item on the consent calendar.
That was finished when you approved the consent agenda.
Okay,
Yep.
so item B on the consent calendar was approved. Excluded from the consent calendar. We have no unfinished business. And we do have item 3A, new business. An appeal by Joseph Anavaricius and the Canadian Red Trust DTD. That's June 6, 2018, owner appellants of certain conditions of approval related to a decision by the planning director approving case 2024-0046, a minor architectural application proposing a roughly 715 square foot addition to an existing shade canopy structure located at 1100 South Palm Canyon Drive, APN 508292001, Zone C1, General Plan, Use Designation, Tourist Resort Commercial. Case appeal, I guess that is.
Correct.
2024-0001 of case 2024-0046. And the planner on this is Ken Lyon. Could we have a staff report, please?
Yes, you may. Thank you, Mr. Chair. As you so clearly laid this out, this is an appeal of a decision of approval at staff level made by the director on a minor architectural for a small addition to an existing structure at 1100 South Palm Canyon Drive. So the brief background on this particular application: on July 30th, 2024, the planning director approved case number AR 2024-0046 with conditions. This is attached in your staff report. This was the approval of the roughly 715 square foot addition to the existing shade structure on the parcel. And the zoning code allows that if a minor architectural decision is made at the staff level and the applicant is not happy with the decision, the applicant may appeal that decision, and the appeal is first heard by the ARC, which is why this is before you today. So the approval was made on July 30th. On August 13th, the applicant did file the appeal of the director's approval, which is the case that is before you today. So the scope of the proposed project briefly is an addition to a legal non-conforming shade structure that encroaches into the public right-of-way along Palm Canyon Drive. For those of you that are familiar with this is in South Palm Canyon Drive. The cross street there at the left side in this photo is Palo Verde Drive. And this particular building, including the shade structure, was originally built as an automobile gas station. In the 1940s. I believe the canopy was added in 1959. The small white building that's 2 stories over there on the right side is not a part of this particular parcel. So the summary of the appeal begins on page 4 of the appeal letter, which again is dated August 13th. The appellant or the applicant appealed all of the planning department conditions of approval, all of the engineering department conditions of approval, except 3 conditions that related to dust control fencing, and none of the conditions of approval imposed by the fire department. So in your staff report, which is typical for an appeal of this nature, staff is required to go through each of the items that the appellant is appealing and list the item and list what their request is and why we are recommending that that the decision of the director be upheld and this particular appeal be denied. So I'm not going to go through all of these. It's a very, very long staff report, but if you have any questions on any of them, I'm going to answer them for you. Ultimately, these are the applicable code sections that applied in this particular case. It was a minor architectural application under 9404. It does engage the off-street parking ordinance, which says that general provisions of the parking code apply upon alteration or enlargement of a building where the use is intensified by the additional floor space. That is the case in this particular application. Also, the trash enclosure portion of the city zoning code, which is required for all uses in each zone district, with the exception of single family. And then the Palm Springs Municipal Code, section 14.15.020, encroachments. And as I mentioned earlier, the shade canopy under which this proposed addition is being proposed is currently encroaching into the roadway right of way. And that's why the encroachment issue becomes irrelevant. So I'm going to leave that with you, and I will answer any questions you may have. Again, our recommendation at this time is to deny the appeal and uphold the decision of the planning director approving case 2024-0046, subject to all the conditions of approval. And I'm available to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
And Mr. Chair, if I might just very briefly tack onto what Ken has said. Obviously, you can see that this appeal was originally filed in August. It is now March, so we have spent many months trying to work with the applicant and their attorneys to try and reach a resolution. We've not been able to find one, and as Ken mentioned, they're essentially looking to appeal all of the standard conditions that we would apply to any development throughout the city. So our position, as outlined in the staff report, is a recommendation to deny the appeal because we cannot move the project forward without those conditions attached to it. I just wanted to add that. Thank you. And sorry, one additional thing, although the applicant has chosen, as we understand it, the appellant has chosen not to participate tonight, we'll double check the room. It would be good to offer them the opportunity to speak should they have joined Zoom after all.
Thank you, Mr. Director. Are there any questions of staff? No questions of staff. Okay. Is there anybody wishing to speak from the owner side on this project?
If you are on the Zoom waiting room and would like to speak on this, if you are the appellant or representing the appellant, please raise your hand so I may allow you to speak. We have no speakers, Mr. Chair.
All right, we have no speakers. Let me just ask a question of staff. Since there's a lengthy staff report, there is nobody on the other side to represent them. If we make a motion to uphold the director's recommendation, then this automatically goes to
Under
council?
Under the code, under the procedures that are in place, your decision would be final unless they further appeal it. So if they, which we expect will likely be the case, if they were to appeal whatever decision you make tonight, the next body that would consider this would be the city council. We expect that is where this is going.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion amongst the architectural review members? Any thoughts, ideas, anything jump out at you? It's kind of a mystery project, isn't it? Okay.
Oh. I'll make a comment.
All right,
And I'll be quick. I don't think there's any grounds for appeal on this project. I think that the requirements are prescribed by law, which, you know, if you're making changes to the site, which include taking a canopy structure and enclosing it and making it an enclosed space, that's what triggers the zoning code and engineering and building code requirements that are prescribed by law. And in this case, because they were not sufficiently shown on the plans, they became conditions of approval, and those are requirements and standard requirements that could have been avoided should they have been provided in the code and the plans. I don't feel that there's a grounds for appeal in this case, and I completely uphold the decision. My recommendation would be to uphold the decision of the director.
any other thoughts, or should we make that a motion?
I'd say we make that a motion.
All right, would you like to formulate that into a motion?
I think you had that good slide, didn't you?
Want to go back to, or the slides aren't up.
Yes, I'll make a motion to deny the appeal and uphold the decision of the planning director approving case AR 2024-0046, subject to all the conditions of approval.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. We have a motion and we have a second. Any further discussion on this? Motion and a second, no further discussion, roll call vote, please.
Member Castro,
Yes.
member Thompson,
Yes.
member McDonald,
Yes.
member Baston,
Yes.
member Walsh,
Yes.
Chair O'Donnell.
Yes,
Passes unanimously. Thank you.
thank you. I think there was a lot of hard work on that. All right, we have architectural committee reports, requests, and comments, brief comments and or issues of concern from members of the architectural committee. Any questions, concerns? How's the search for a replacement member going?
The city clerk has opened the nominations for applicants for all the boards and commissions, including ARC. And so far, we have received one application. So, as you happen to be talking with your friends and colleagues who love the city of Palm Springs and all of its architectural machinations, please encourage them to apply.
Thank you, Mr. Lyon. Planning director's report.
I don't have any big updates except to say that our zoning code team will be present for another round of outreach March 31st and April 1st. So we will be doing an event at 5:30 p.m. at James O. Jassy Community Center on Monday, March 31st, beginning at 5:30. The next day, we'll be doing a daytime version of the same open house at Demuth, just to try and reach the broadest audience possible. And during the day, they'll be reaching out and meeting with a bunch of stakeholders as well to continue rolling that process out. At this point, we have draft zoning maps and draft zoning districts, and that will be the purpose of the outreach. So very exciting to start to see how that's going to shape up. And then from there, they will move into the drafting itself of the text. In parallel with that, of course, there are the urban design guidelines that are being drafted by a sub-consultant to our primary consultant as part of that process. They're not doing any outreach associated with that in this round. This is really targeted on the zoning maps, but we expect that will kick off very soon in a more intense way. So I'm sure we'll be here to update you all on that in the coming months, but we're excited to see that process moving forward. That's
Thank
my
you for that.
primary update. I don't know, Kat, if you had anything else.
No, I don't have anything else.
All right. We are adjourning this meeting at 5:47 p.m. And we will see everybody at the next regularly scheduled meeting. It looks like it's April 7th. All right. Thank you all.